Well, welcome to Core Motivations Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Connolly. I'm a certified Enneagram coach and a Symbis marriage coach. If this is your first time here, I want to give you a special welcome. I believe you have stumbled upon an incredible community. And for those returning, thanks again for not only committing to yourself, but committing to growth through this podcast and the information shared. So, this took me a little longer to work through this week's topic as we spend time together, not because of any other reason than it's important to me to do right by all of you because you take time to listen to the things shared, and I want it to be quality. So let's get into it. I wanted to go back and take a look at all of our tools in our toolbox. So, what's in there? Let's open it up. Our toolbox of self care and self love practices take us way back when we started our journey. At the end of each episode, we would unpack and learn a new practice of self care and self love. And here are some of those practices. Do you remember this one? The gratitude practice? This is that 5-minute practice, and basically, it can be virtually anywhere that you do this. Although I recommend you sit alone in a quiet spot doing nothing. I also believe that it's possible to find that time. And maybe you're not the kind of person that likes to write things down. However, when you do, it can develop a deeper connection with this process and practice. And then you can go back and you can review it and read it to yourself. I just read the other day that how we and what we say becomes our reality. So when we speak negatives, that's what we look for in our life and around us, and even notice those things about the people that we interact with. However, when we change that and we see and say positive things, those are the things that we're recognizing that it changes our perception and how we perceive those people, things, experiences, and so on. So when we practice this process of gratitude and we look either within or outward, it changes our perspective. So, this practice essentially is being purposeful. So, start with 5 things that you're grateful for. And of course, if you're in a role, keep going. It can be an experience, it could be a person, it can be a feeling, and so many other things that you can acknowledge that you're grateful for. Let this be your anthem. So, another tool that we added was showing up for ourselves, for you, that you're showing up for you. And this is what it looks like it involves making a conscious choice, prioritizing your well being while identifying your needs, recognizing, embracing your happiness. And it's about constantly making the effort to care for yourself by setting boundaries and nurturing your inner self, both emotionally and physically. And then there was the tool that we learned about, which was called 5 characteristics of grace. So, grace meaning courteous goodwill, mercy, pardon, a special favor, privilege, adorn, embellish, disposition to, or an act or instance, maybe even temporary exemption, reprieve, a charming or attractive trait. It's a characteristic, a blessing or giving thanks. And finally, the equality or state of being considerate and thoughtful. Okay, so when we look at grace and all that it stands for, we can break it down into an acronym. So G stands for generosity, the will to do something more for others. And let's not forget about the grace that we need to show to ourselves. The R in grace is for respect, the dignity of life and work. And A is action, the mechanism for change. And C is compassion, the concern for others. C is the compassion, the concern for others. And please, please don't forget compassion for yourself. And E is energy, the spirit that catalyzes us. Now, I know that you guys remember this tool, the self talk. It's that inside or internal dialogue that we have with ourselves, whether silently or out loud. And I am good at both. Perhaps you are too. But that inside internal dialogue, it's a natural cognitive process that can truly be positive or negative. It can even be neutral. But it plays a role in how we process thoughts, manage our emotions, and solve problems. So, what do you say? We cash in the negative thought for the positive thoughts. Now, I like this tool as well. Actually, I can't think of anyone that I don't like. So, let's move on. Affirmations. An affirmation is a positive statement or phrase that you repeat to yourself to help overcome those negative thoughts and instill a desired belief or mindset. And by repeating these statements, which are often in the present tense, as if they are already true. And with that, you can build self confidence, motivate yourself, and start to reprogram your subconscious mind to be more positive, authentic in real time. Now, maybe you remember the tool concentration meditation. So, what that is it's one word or a scripture where you focus on a particular word or scripture. And when we did this before, we focused on the scripture of Romans 5 3 through 5. So, check it out. And when we did this, we also focused on one word, which was patience. So we do this by using a 6-step process. And you can practice this method of concentrating, focusing on one word or scripture. And you do that, or as you do that, it's to experience the truth or ways you can live in it as you live it out. So here's a quick review of those steps. Step 1, sit in silence. You breathe naturally while allowing your mind to focus on the word or the scripture. Step 2 is that you begin to visualize this specific word or passage. Third, ask a singular question, such as, what is God revealing to me? Or, what am I noticing from that specific word or scripture? Fourth, recognize or notice. Where are you feeling it in your body? Fifth, take a deep breath in. Slowly exhale the lies and negative thoughts. And lastly, focus on the part of your body where you feel the tension the most. Take several deep breaths, followed by a slow exhale, while focusing on releasing the tension from that part of your body. Now, you ready for the next one? We've done this before, but let's talk about it. The 5 good. It's where you write out things that happened today, not yesterday or a week ago. Today's good. They're things that are good that blessed you or brought you joy. So I recommend at the end of your day, right before you go to sleep or just those quiet moments, write out your 5 good. Okay, here we go. Mistakes as strength. Mistakes as your strength. So when we reframe them as valuable opportunities for growth and not as failures, this perspective, it shows the mistakes as a sign of trying, experimenting, and learning. And what that does is it builds resilience, self awareness, and character. So, here, let's take a quick look. What it does is it shifts your perspective and acknowledges the mistake. And we do that by practicing self compassion, that we view the mistake as a data point. And then we create an action plan. Now, that particular one is that this plan turns that abstract knowledge into a tangible action. And the last one is that we apply the lesson immediately. Now, remember, this is how we take our mistakes and use them as your strength. And lastly, but certainly not least, therapy can be your clarity. So, what do I mean by that? The process of using various techniques, often through conversation with a mental health professional, to improve your mental and emotional well being. The benefits of it include developing coping skills, managing stress and emotions, while improving relationships and gaining a better understanding of oneself. So let's look at how these tools can apply to each type. And I want to start with looking at each type's core fear. Type 1's core fear is being bad, corrupt, and ultimately unworthy. So I recommend that you use the gratitude practice. Now, of course, you can use any of the practices, but I feel that this really speaks to your core fear and turns it around. And you can use that by remembering these things or trying these prompts as you practice the gratitude practice. And remember, it's talking about the things that you're grateful for. So, how about this? You can say, I'm grateful that I can learn things fast. I'm grateful that I'm learning to see my worth. Give it a try once. Okay, twos. Your core fear is being unloved. So try using the showing up tool. And what that means for you is that it helps you develop a self awareness of your own needs and your emotions by practicing direct communicating and setting boundaries. Remember that oxygen mask, you have to put yours on first. And by doing this, it helps you to prevent burnout and resentment. You need to remember that setting time aside for self discovery is so valuable and necessary. And you can do it through journaling, allowing for you to discover what your own needs and desires are. Type 3, your core fear is the fear of failure and being without value. So, how about trying the grace tool? Shifting your thinking from external achievement to internal authenticity. So, threes, you can be generous to yourself. Respect the hard that you have conquered. Prioritize rest. Take action towards the things that bring you joy. Offer yourself compassion. Seek the things that energize you. I love this quote: "Great things are done by a series of small things brought together." Okay, type fours, we didn't forget you. Your core fear is being deficient and ultimately rejected or abandoned. So, how about using the self talk strategies by cashing in the negative talk for positive? That's positive talk. If you are saying, "What's wrong with me?" cash that in for, "I am perfectly imperfect." Or maybe you've said things like, "I can't do anything right." Trade that in for, "Mistakes are part of the process of learning. I can make mistakes because I am courageous enough to try new things." And instead of, "I'm not good enough," let's give that away and try, "I may not have all the answers right now, but I am capable of learning and growing." Okay, type fives, their core fear is being useless, incompetent, and helpless. So, how about we try using the affirmations tool, such as, "I appreciate the awe of being in my body. I develop healthy relationships with the people around me. I am calm, serene, and at peace, even in the midst of life's uncertainties. And I experience life fully." Now, remember, these are affirmations, they're positive, real, true things that you can tell yourself and flip that core fear upside down. Type fives. Here's another quote: "The best thing you have to give is yourself." Okay, type sixes. Your core fear is being without support and guidance. So, how about using the five good? And I think that it can really help you focus on who is supporting you and how, when you look up or out, you can see where and whom the guidance is coming from. So, try these prompts. What is one specific thing that went well today, just as I expected it, or even better? And what is one thing I accomplished or a decision I made that I feel good about? What is one small moment of peace or humor or connection I experienced today, like a nice walk, a funny joke shared with a friend? Now remember, five good is five good things that happened today. Okay, type sevens. Your core fear is being trapped or in pain. So, how about we utilize the concentration meditation? And it looks like this. First, sit in silence, breathing naturally, while allowing your mind to focus on one word or scripture. So, maybe the one word is peace. Second, begin to visualize that specific word or passage. Third, ask specific questions or a specific question, like, "What is God revealing to me?" Or, "What am I noticing from visualizing this word or passage?" So, as you're visualizing, and we use the word peace, what does peace look like? Fourth, recognize or notice, where are you feeling it in your body? Fifth, take a deep breath in and slowly exhale the lies and negative thoughts. And lastly, focus on the part of your body where you feel that tension the most. And take several deep breaths, followed by a slow exhale, while focusing on releasing that tension from that part of your body. Sevens, can you allow yourself to feel the emotions within any troubling situation as you work through this practice, and be kind to yourself? Okay, eights. Let's talk about what you can try from the toolbox. Your core fear is being weak or controlled by others. So, you remember this tool, mistakes as my strength? This practice is about reframing these valuable opportunities for growth, not as failures, that you're seeing mistakes as a sign of trying and experimenting and learning. So you do that by practicing self compassion, where you avoid harsh self criticism and you treat yourself with the same kindness that you would offer a friend. Try creating an action plan, turning abstract knowledge into tangible action. And then apply the lesson immediately, utilizing what you have just learned and use it in real time. Okay, type nines, we never forget you. You always bring us the bookend. We start with one, they set the tone, and you finish it up strong. Well, here we go. Type nines, your core fear is loss or disconnection. And one of our tools was we talked about therapy as a benefit. Now, I know what you're thinking, nines. Yes, this is a great example of self care and self love. Perhaps it's one of the ultimate, as you will have the opportunity to talk with someone that is neutral. They don't censor. And although this is not implying it is a void of their sensitivity or empathy towards you, what that means is that they frame things in such a way that speaks to your nine ness. So, what can therapy do? How can it be a benefit for you? Well, it looks like this. You can address emotional avoidance. Therapy can help nines become aware of and process their own feelings, especially negative ones, rather than suppressing them or zoning out. Therapy can help you by reframing conflict, where you learn to see conflict as a normal part of life, not something to be feared, or even develop strategies for constructive engagement rather than avoid a situation. Therapy can help you reclaim identity, where you work on reconnecting with your own wants and dreams and sense of self, which can be lost through constantly adapting yourself to others' needs. So, while there are more benefits to each of these practices, what I've done here is that I've given you a few to help you get started, or maybe it is a continuation of your journey and path of self care and self love practices. And I love this one from Mel Robbins. There will always be someone who can't see your worth. Don't let it be you. So, how are these working for you? Are these parts of what you do on a daily basis? For me, I know when I don't set out to do things, especially these self care and self love practices, it really can derail how my day goes. So, for example, I have a practice of making the bed. So I have to make the bed before I get going. Now, it's not perfect, but it's more about this practice that it sets a tone for my day. And I need these practices of self care and self love because it sets me up for success and helps me to be the best version of myself. I hope that for you too, because as you develop these skills that we call self care and self love, what it does is that it helps you towards practicing to applaud yourself for doing them. And it gives you the opportunity to celebrate your success as you do these things. And it builds you up and it gives you strength. Now, on the other side, remember that it took more than a minute for the bad habits that we've developed from these experiences that we've had in life. So, because of that, it's going to take more than a minute to learn new things and replace them with these powerful tools towards all the things that we do in our life. I want to end our time by reminding us that here at Core Motivations Podcast, we're all about better is not perfect, practicing something for good, and remembering that each of these tools, it creates openings to try again, creating space to learn something new. And trying something new, it helps us to remember that seeing it not work, it's not a failure. What it is, in fact, is an opportunity. Now, yours and my favorite, the legal stuff. This podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for medical care. The materials, movies, videos, or books referred to in this podcast are recommendations only, and the views expressed by our guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the podcast host. That's me or sponsors. Join me each week as we dive into all things Enneagram, self-care ideas, self-love, patterns and rhythms, share ideas from other reputable authors, doctors, and my favorite podcasters. A big thank you to you for being here with me today on Core Motivations Podcast. I know you've heard me say this many times before, but truly, thanks for your support and supporting this podcast, as it just couldn't be done without all of you. So hit the follow button, share this episode with someone, and write a review. All of these things will help others find us and join the journey. Now, you can find me, Michelle, on Instagram at coremotivations_coach or through email, michelle@coremotivationscoach.com. So let me leave you with this. Until next time, and as always, I'm rooting for you.